Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to the United Kingdom this week has been hailed as a great success. He and his wife, Madam Peng, were warmly greeted by the Queen and members of the British royal family. President Xi addressed the British Parliament and he was feted at a state banquet in Buckingham Palace. The Chinese leader and British Prime Minister David Cameron also made progress on trade and investment. CCTV correspondent Jack Barton has been covering the visit. He joins us now from London. And Jack, a lot of pomp and pageantry. Is this visit being considered a success?
It is being considered a big success. Relations were already quite close before President Xi arrived, given that Britain was the first European country to join the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank and also the first place outside of China to issue RMB-denominated sovereign bonds. That was a big step. So already a tight relationship, but we've seen on this trip those relations cemented even further. Especially after that big meeting at number 10 Downing Street, when both leaders came out. You could see from the body language, from the smiles, the meeting had been a success as they announced that big deal at Hinkley Point in the southwest of England, an investment there of $10 billion from China, but also at the press conference afterwards, which was considered just as important here in the UK, where both leaders fielded some fairly tough questions, ranging from human rights to subsidised or alleged subsidised steel imports, really giving an indication of a new maturity in the relationship where the leaders said all topics could be discussed. There wasn't going to be any megaphone diplomacy. And then the pomp and the ceremony that you mentioned, something that the Brits do, of course, better than anybody else, and really turning that on to show the people in Britain and in China just how special and strong this relationship has become.
Right, and as you pointed out, Jack, trade and investment were the big talking points. How much progress was made on that?
Much more progress than was expected, at least what was stated publicly. What we saw, even by the end of the second day, was more than $60 billion worth of deals done. The expectation from the British government of the whole trip was that it would be around $47 billion. It wasn't just that big. The announcement of the power station in the southwest of England. There was also a big tie-in between British Petroleum and China. It's estimated to be in value around $18 billion. It would also give BP much greater access into China. But on top of that, we saw a slew of deals ranging from investment in cruise ships, Rolls-Royce engines, healthcare technologies, deal after deal. But they also talked about financial services. There was more talk about Britain expanding its role as an offshore market for the RMB. China's push to internationalize the currency into a global reserve currency. And talk of trade, of course. Since the last state visit 10 years ago, trade between China and Britain has increased dramatically, not just in terms of Chinese exports to Britain, but British exports to China have also quadrupled.
Thanks, Jack. That's CCTV's Jack Barton reporting from London.